Chapter 1. The Bill and the Visit. In a bold political move, the United States introduced a bill aimed at supporting Tibet's autonomy and condemning human rights violations by China in the region. This bill, introduced in the American Parliament, reflected a growing sentiment within the U.S. government to address China's tightening grip on Tibet. To further underline their commitment, a delegation of American lawmakers announced plans to visit the Dalai Lama in Dharamshala, India. The purpose behind this visit was not immediately clear to many, raising questions about the true intentions of these political maneuvers. Chapter 2. The renaming spree, coinciding with the announcement of the American delegation's visit. India made a significant move by renaming 30 places in Tibet. This act was seen as a symbolic gesture of support for the Tibetan cause and a direct response to China's previous actions of renaming places in Arunachal Pradesh, a region India claims as its own but which China refers to as South Tibet. The renaming spree by India was not just a political statement but also a reaffirmation of its stance on Tibet's historical and cultural significance. China's retaliatory measures in Arunachal Pradesh only added fuel to the fire, heightening tensions in an already volatile region. Chapter 3. The Succession Crisis. Amidst this geopolitical turbulence, a critical issue loomed over the Tibetan community: the selection of the next Lama. The current Dalai Lama, now in his 80s, had long spoken about the possibility of his successor being chosen from outside Tibet to avoid Chinese interference. This prospect was both hopeful and anxiety-inducing for Tibetans, as the next Lama would play a crucial role in their spiritual and cultural identity. The succession crisis, however, had deeper roots dating back to 1995. In a shocking and tragic event, China kidnapped a 6-year-old boy identified by Tibetan monks as the reincarnation of the Panchen Lama, the second highest spiritual leader in Tibetan Buddhism. The young Panchen Lama, along with his family and teachers, disappeared without a trace. This abduction was a calculated move by China to control the religious hierarchy within Tibet, ensuring that any future Lama would be under their influence. Chapter 4. The International Outcry. The kidnapping of the young Panchen Lama in 1995 had sparked widespread condemnation from human rights organizations, governments, and individuals around the world. The U.S. government, already poised against China over the Tibetan issue, escalated its rhetoric, calling for immediate transparency and the release of the child. India, balancing its geopolitical interests with its support for Tibetan autonomy, also condemned the abduction, although more cautiously to avoid further straining its already complex relationship with China. In Dharamshala, the Tibetan government in exile and the Dalai Lama himself expressed profound concern for the young Panchen Lama's safety and well-being. Vigils and protests erupted among the Tibetan diaspora, with calls for the international community to take stronger actions against China's blatant violation of human rights and religious freedom. Chapter 5. The American delegation in Dharamshala. As the American delegation arrived in Dharamshala, they were met with warmth and gratitude by the Tibetan community. Their visit was not merely symbolic but a tangible demonstration of support for Tibet's struggle. The delegates engaged in deep discussions with the Dalai Lama, addressing issues of cultural preservation, religious freedom, and strategies for advocating Tibet's cause on the global stage. During their stay, the delegation also met with young Tibetan activists and leaders, who shared their hopes and fears for the future. The visit was a poignant reminder of the enduring spirit of the Tibetan people and their unwavering commitment to their cultural and spiritual heritage. Chapter 6. The Search for the Lama. In the shadow of these political and diplomatic efforts, the search for the next Lama continued. The abduction of the Panchen Lama in 1995 had left a void that was difficult to fill. The Tibetan community, both within Tibet and in exile, grappled with the challenge of maintaining their religious traditions in the face of such oppression. Despite the risks, Tibetan monks continued their efforts to identify the true reincarnations of their spiritual leaders. This clandestine process was fraught with danger, as Chinese authorities closely monitored religious activities and sought to impose their own choices. The stakes were high, and the monks knew that any misstep could lead to severe repercussions. Chapter 7. The Global Impact. The events surrounding the American bill, the renaming of places in Tibet and Arunachal Pradesh, and the long-standing kidnapping of the Panchen Lama have set the stage for a renewed focus on the Tibetan issue. The international community is now watching closely, and the actions of the involved parties will shape the future of this long-standing conflict. For the Tibetan people, the path forward remains fraught with challenges. The search for the next Lama, the quest for autonomy, and the struggle to preserve their culture and identity in the face of overwhelming adversity continue to define their narrative. Yet, the support from global allies and the unwavering leadership of the Dalai Lama offer a glimmer of hope. Chapter 8. Conclusion. As the American delegation concluded their visit, they pledged to return home with a renewed determination to advocate for Tibet. The story of Tibet, rich with resilience and sorrow, continues to unfold, reminding the world of the enduring power of faith, culture, and the indomitable human spirit in the face of oppression. The kidnapping of the Panchen Lama remains a stark symbol of the ongoing struggle, a story that needs to be told and remembered, urging the world to take a stand for justice and freedom. We are providing these information for information purposes only. For more contents like this, stay subscribed, and thanks for watching.